Yep, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music, and this here is Urban Politics, where politics lives. Let's jump right into it like a car and drive. There's all types of tasty politics for us to deal with this week. All right, so first, let's talk about how there's millions of students or million of student loan borrowers who don't have a diploma to show for their debt. Guilty as charged. I'm one of those. Says U.S. Student Department has increased by, U.S. student debt has increased by more than 100% over the past 10 years, and today 44.7 million borrowers collectively owe more than $1.7 trillion in student debt. But not all of these borrowers have a degree to show for their debt. So I fall into that category. I had went to Columbus State, got my associate degree. I was going to move on and go probably to Ohio State to get my bachelor's degree. Things happened. I did not get that. So at this point, I'm stuck with an associate degree and student loans I'm paying for a bachelor's degree that I never obtained, but I still owe for that degree. I did sign for the loan. Things happened. I never got the degree. So there it is. But I didn't know there were so many other Americans who fell into this category with me. And there's a number of different reasons why people never got that bachelor's degree. But I didn't know it was that many, that there were that many of us who were in this situation. 41% of first-time, full-time college students earn a bachelor's degree in 4 years. 59% get a bachelor's in 6 years. And then they say college completion rates after 8 years are 60.4%. Borrowers who struggle the most tend to be more in the category of a student who started at community college for some unforeseen event, or some unforeseen event occurred and they in their life and they never graduated. Man, that's me to a T. That's me. I was going to Columbus State. Things happened. Life started beating me, and I never got that baccalaureate. So there's plenty of people who owe for the bachelor's degree that they never got. So that's something. It said the default rate for people who did not get a diploma is 3 times the rate as people who did get a degree. So a lot of people like me who are, pursuing that degree and didn't get it, their default rate on loan is 3 times of the people who did get their degree, which makes sense because if you got that degree, then you probably have a job that, pays more than you would have got with an associate degree. Ergo, you have the money to pay back the loan that you took out for the degree. So where if you didn't, it looks like you're 3 times as likely to not pay back that loan, probably because you don't have the job and the money to do it. Right here, guilty as charged. Anyway, moving on. 4 in 10 students overall, 54% black, do not finish college within 6 years. And they always talk about that too, how they say a baccalaureate or a bachelor's degree is a 4-year degree. It hasn't been a 4-year degree in some time. Usually they said a lot of people going for that bachelor's degree, a lot of times it takes 6+ years to get it. And it's supposed to be a quote unquote 4-year degree. That is what it is. Times have changed, things have changed, and they're not being so forthcoming. These colleges are not being forthcoming about these degrees because they're in the business of making money. They're in the business of selling degrees that you may or may not need. These are the days of the internet. I've talked about it on this show. I talked about how even Bill Maher was critical of the education system in this country and colleges, and he called it the big grift. He said basically it's a hustle, and it is. These are the days of the internet. Why is anybody going to pay a bunch of money to go to some university to get knowledge that they could get for free if they just Google it? If you want to know anything on the planet that you can think of, if you want to research it extensively, if you want access to almost every library on the planet, to almost every book on the planet, it's right here in your phone. It's right on your laptop computer. So there it is. So why is anybody going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to a college to learn what they could learn if they just let their fingers do the walking and get that Google on? Now, with that said, they do say up to 30% of the stuff on the internet is bupkis. shouldn't pay attention to it. But even with that said, there's tons of information on the internet that's verifiable and it's accurate. So once again, why pay a bunch of money to a college or university to go there to get knowledge that you could get for free? All you need is a Wi-Fi code and access to a library and a smartphone, which everybody and their mama's got. So that is what it is. Times are changed. These colleges need to get with it, or people are getting hip to that. Then why do I need a college at all? So we'll see what happens with that. There's an 8 to 10% bump just from getting a damn piece of paper. That's something that somebody said right there. They were like, there's an 8 to 10. So, if you get that degree, you get 8 to 10% more in money. Oh, hold up. They also said the sheepskin penalty refers to the pay increase workers with diplomas benefit from that workers without degrees can't access. And that was interesting when I seen that, because my little sister, Lydia, she knows my dad would go on and on and on and on about the sheepskin. My father has a whole sheepskin speech where he talks about how you go to school and get that sheepskin. Gotta get the sheepskin, 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 sheepskin. My dad would always go on and on and on about the sheepskin. He would have so much dismay that somebody went to college and left college and didn't even get their sheepskin. I ain't even get the sheepskin. She should at least got that sheepskin. My dad is all about the sheepskin. If you talk to him, he'll give you his 18-hour lecture on how you gotta get that sheepskin. But right here, that's what they're calling that, the sheepskin penalty. And really, that's what Pops was referring to. He didn't call it that, but that's what it is. If you don't get this sheepskin, you're not going to make as much bread as you would have gotten if you did get this sheepskin. Now, in his day, that was true. These days, not so much, because that sheepskin just isn't worth what it used to be worth. It doesn't have the value it used to have, thanks to the internet. So that is what it is, but that's what they're calling that, the sheepskin clause. And right now, that's still real. If you have a bachelor's degree, you're going to make more money than a person with an associate's degree. If you have a master's degree, you should be making more money than a person with a bachelor's. If you got a PhD, you should be making more money than a person with a master's, right? Right now. But like I said, the internet and times are changing these things. So we'll see what happens. Watch this space. Watch America. Watch Everspace. And we'll see what happens with this education thing. But things are changing right before our very eyes, because the internet has changed everything. So that is what it is. So that's something to think about while people out there talking about going to college and higher education. And I still support higher education. We want a society that is educated, because educated people are smarter people. Smarter people make better decisions, politically and otherwise. So I'm all for education. Even if this education isn't necessarily going to lead people to higher paying jobs, I think it should. It'd be nice if it did. But even if it doesn't, how about this? There's a Greek saying, I'm not sure who said it, but was knowledge for the sake of knowledge, knowing for the sake of knowing. I get into that. I tell kids I've worked with all through the years, I have tons of useless information, because I love watching the History Channel and I love the news. So I have tons of useless information, but it's still information. It's knowledge for the sake of knowledge. That's what's up. Moving on. Let's talk about how there are 6 million, my lord, 6 million renters face eviction on July 30th when a Trump-era ban expires. There was both a federal eviction ban and a moratorium on foreclosures that will expire. Some are saying they should be extended due to new COVID concerns. My thing is, Jeffrey Biden, what will he do about it? You know what I'm saying? For real, man. And, that's what's up, man. Joe, I said Jeffrey. Joe, what you gonna do about it, man? We gotta do something. 6 million people are going to be homeless at the end of this month. That's huge. We got a lot of things going on right now, okay? We got Republicans trying to screw around with the vote and trying to steal it and stay in power forever, okay? We have economic issues, okay? We have a worker shortage. We have inflation going through the roof. We got tons of issues around here, but this is huge. This is huge. 6 million people will not have a place to stay come July 30th, Somebody needs to get on this. I'm not hearing enough in the news about it. I'm wondering what our elected officials are going to do about this. So if you're one of these people who's going to be homeless July 30th, I would say get on the phone and call your congressman or woman and ask them what are they going to do about it. Because I promise you, you're not alone. Glory be to God, I'm not one of the people in this situation. But if I was, I would be on the phone with somebody right now. Somebody. Whether it was Joyce Beatty or or Rob Portman or Sherrod Brown or one of them and say, hey, somebody better come with some aid for the working class American, man. I need it. I'm about to be homeless come July 30th. So there's a lot of y'all in that position. I would say get active, do something. Because please don't rest on your laurels thinking that the government's going to come to your aid without you putting a fire under their butt, because obviously they're not. I've hardly heard anything about this, and I don't know what's more important than this. What's more important than the fact that 6 million Americans will be out on the street come July 30th? What's more important than that? But a lot of times you watch the news, no one's dealing with this. When I seen this, it was almost a soundbite, you know? So something needs to be done about that. And right here, I'm asking Mr. Joseph Biden, what are you going to do about it, man? You're the president. You need to help some people, man. There needs to be another moratorium on rents and foreclosures and on the mortgages, all of that. Okay, you know, we're trying to come up out of this pandemic. We got stuff going on. We can't even come up out of it because it looks like we're slipping back into it. So with that being the case, it looks like the moratorium needs to go a little longer. Okay, it looks like the thing they were doing with halting rents needs to go on a little longer. Now I understand you got landlords who are feeling it too. You know, they're feeling it just like the people who rent from them are feeling it. They don't have money to pay them. They don't have money to pay the mortgages so they can keep these dwellings so that people can stay in them. It's a problem all the way around. The government could fix it. Okay, you done bailed out Wall Street. You know, Trump gave all of his rich corporate friends tax breaks and tax cuts, right? So why don't you go ahead and give the American people some time to pay this back? You know, why don't you go ahead and get rid of this? Now, I remember a while ago when another recession was going on, I think around 2008, Bill Clinton had talked about how way back in the day, what these banks had did was took all the mortgages, lowered them down to $400 a month, made it so that people could stay in their homes, so that people could pay that mortgage. And they said banks ended up making money and were able to turn the recession around. They could do the same thing right now, ladies and gentlemen. They could do the same thing right now if they even followed the same framework. Lower every mortgage to $300-400 a month. Lower these rents. Make it so that people can afford to stay where they're at. Some people can't afford to pay anything right now. Work with them. Keep them in that dwelling. We can turn this thing around, but it takes everybody working together, and it takes people not being so greedy. It takes banks not being so greedy, okay? We got to love one another. We have to help one another out, and this is how we do it. So we'll see what happens with that. But I tell you what, my heart goes out to these people because that's a rough situation. If you haven't been there, I've been there. You know, if you haven't been there to wake up one day and didn't know how you were going to pay your rent or didn't know how you were going to pay your mortgage, that's the worst place to be at on earth. Because when you're there, now you start entertaining thoughts of bad things. You start entertaining thoughts of criminal ways to make these things happen. And we do not need that. If you ask me, a lot of that's going on right now in America anyway. That's why you're seeing the large crime rates and other things that you're seeing. See what I'm saying? People are finding ways to make ends meet if they can't do it legally. We do not want that happening. Government, where you at? Step up. In the words from Jake from Adventure Time, you know, government, where you went? Where they at? Where are they at? We need the help. These 6 million people who are going to be without homes come July 30th need the help. So I'm calling on you, Joe. Holler at these folks, man. They need a bailout. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Trump's super PAC. How it's not so super. Not doing what it's supposed to be doing. He spent no money on ballot audits. None. So the guy's running around propagating, you know what I'm saying, or propagating this, oh, it was a lie, you know, or this huge lie. Oh, it was stolen from me. That election was stolen. but he's put absolutely none of the funds that he's been collecting from his fans, that's what they are, from his fans, his followers, hasn't put any of that money towards the audits. They said it has funded his flights and other personal expenses. They said they've raised $75 million. $75 million. Still claiming that the election was stolen, even though they've spent no money to prove it. Private donors, not Trump's PAC, are funding the election reviews in Arizona and in Georgia. I remember seeing a thing on TV, and I want to say one of the senators who represents Georgia, she was saying, or was it Arizona? I think it might have been Arizona. And she was saying that. She said taxpayers are paying this up to $150,000. Then we have private donors who are kicking in funds and such. And I'm like, $150,000? You know, that's what taxpayers are paying. For what? For another recount? For Republicans to recount other Republicans? For the third recount that's going to lead to nothing? Yeah, but they're paying it. They're footing the bill, and some private donors. If those private donors, people who are probably richer than all get out, want to throw their money away, great. But it's messed up that they could throw this in the hands or throw this in the lap of taxpayers and make them pay for a useless audit. You know, just because a guy named Trump has these sour grapes about losing. So now all these people, now, you know what I'm saying, these taxpayers got to come out $150,000 for a nonsensical recount. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to politics in America. Moving on. Let's talk about sports. I never do because I don't get into it all like that. But it is what it is. Some of y'all get into it, so let's talk about it. Cleveland changes their name from the Indians to the Guardians. Well, they had Indians for 100 years. And if you don't know, a lot of quote unquote, I know quote unquote, Native Americans find the term Indian offensive. Now, some of you may understand that, some of you don't. Let's walk through it real quick. Christopher Columbus called himself finding America, right? When he found America, he thought it was India. So he got out that boat and he was calling the people that he saw here Indians. They weren't Indians. They were Native Americans because they were native to the land that he was up on, claiming that he had discovered. He didn't discover it. Obviously, they were here first. And there were people here even before them, but not even going into that. So he rolls up on the land. He sees these people. He thinks that they're Indians from India because he thinks he's in India. No, they were Native Americans. So actually, it never should have been the Cleveland Indians. It should have been the Cleveland Native Americans. But that doesn't have the ring to it, does it? So there's that. So they said that fans' first pick was the Spiders, which I think is pretty good. I like Spiders. That's an interesting mascot. That would have been cool. I wouldn't mind seeing a guy in a Spiders mascot uniform running around. That would have been interesting. And the second pick was the Rockers. That's a good one, too. The name Guardians is a reference to well-known Art Deco statues located on the Lorraine Carnegie Bridge, which spans the Cuyahoga River and connects downtown Cleveland to the city's trendy Ohio City neighborhood. These statues are known as the Guardians of Traffic. So that's where they got this name, or the new name for Cleveland from, the Guardians, because of these Guardians of Traffic. I think that's a good thing. It's obviously a better look than them being the Cleveland Indians. For years, people have wanted them to change that. Then they got some chant they be doing where they're like, all that, man, that's cultural misappropriation. Cut it out. Cut it out. And then you've seen some people in those shirts that say, you know what I'm saying, Cleveland Caucasians. You know, and really that's just drawing a correlation. That's saying, come on, what if, you know, there was a team called the such and such Caucasians? Would that not be offensive? Would that not be something that needs to change? Finally, people got hip to it, they changing. I reported on how the Washington Redskins are no longer the Washington Redskins. They changed that because I'd heard a lady say years ago on a news program, you never call somebody a Redskin in polite conversation. So why are we calling a whole football team the Redskins? That's racist. That's wrong. They finally got rid of it. Same here with the Cleveland Indians. Now they're going to be the Cleveland Guardians. I think it's a good look. Things have to change, ladies and gentlemen. That's what progress is. If you call yourself a progressive, then that means you want America to progress. To progress means we have to get rid of some of these nonsensical things we've been doing around here for years because they make people comfortable, because they're a part of tradition. But tradition a lot of times is steeped in garbage. Okay, and it's steeped in things that need to go away. This is a new day, a new time, and in these new days and times, when you know better, you do better. We know a lot of those terms were racist. They were disparaging. We know a lot of people didn't like it. Well, a lot of people, it made them feel a type of way when they heard it. Let's get rid of it. And that's what's going on now. Makes me proud of this country. When I see progression like that, I'm like, that's appropriate. That's what needs to happen. Word up. Moving on, let's talk about the FBI and how it says it got 4,500 tips on Brett Kavanaugh, providing relevant ones to the Trump White House. The exact number of tips was disclosed on June 30th after a 2-year request from Senate Democrats was finally honored. Jeez. Findings were given to senators who supported Kavanaugh, and they reported that the White House found nothing. Those were the reports I heard. I'm sure those are reports that you heard. Oh yeah, the FBI did an investigation. They didn't find anything. Pfft. And now we know that's garbage. They 4,500 tips they got about this guy. And they just threw him in a basket they put him in the Z-file, which is the trash. You know, threw him in the Z-file. Didn't no need to follow up on those. That's sad. That's extremely partisan. Now look, that whole thing, man, it was basically men versus women. A lot of women believed the lady, I won't say her last name, her name was Miss Barrett. They believed her accusations about Kavanaugh being this creepy guy who was, way overzealous when they were in college and did a lot of inappropriate things. She had events. I guess, not all of them could be traced or verified by people. I mean, I watched it just like you watched it. We all seen it. We all lived it. Point being, though, 4,500 tips that they just conveniently don't talk about or conveniently say we didn't get. And it took 2 years to even find that out. That's sad. But that shows you right there that the Trump White House, they wanted this guy to be a Supreme Court justice, and they were going to do whatever they had to do to make it happen. If they had to cover things up, if they had to say that they got evidence that they didn't get, or that they didn't get evidence that they were supposed to get, which it looks like they said, they didn't care. They're going to do whatever they had to do to make sure that Brett Kavanaugh was Supreme Court justice. And why is that? They want to lock down that Supreme Court, make sure they put more conservative justices on there than liberal ones, which they have now. So it is what it is, The Republicans, once again, they played dirty pool, and they won with that one. But you know what? Anything done in the darkness shall come to light. I thought this was over. I thought, I said, Mr. Kavanaugh, he is a Supreme Court justice. That is what it is. But I guess, once again, anything done in the darkness shall come to light. So you can always go back. They can always subpoena those records. They can always go back through those records with a fine-tooth comb and say, hey, hold up. Look at all these leads that weren't followed up on. We need to follow up on these. And we still need to maybe get some answers about this guy's character. So it is what it is. Looks like he's not out of the woods yet. He don't have anybody to blame but his boys for this, but the Republican Party and Trump and them's for this, because they shouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't have just not followed up on these things. If his character is questionable, then he shouldn't be a Supreme Court justice. And it looks like that's going to come out one way or the other. And now it's just going to come out later. So now he's just had a chance to be up there and make a few judgments or whatever, which will ultimately have to be overturned if they find some reason he shouldn't be there. Watch this space. As Miss Maddow says, we'll see what happens to Mr. Kavanaugh. But his boys might have played him on this. He might have played himself. He knew better than that when he was up there testifying. I like beer. I really like beer. I just like beer. Yeah. That guy did a whole lot of partying in college. And let's hope that party wasn't as inappropriate as Miss Barrett says it was. But we're going to find out, because 4,500 tips, that's a lot of tips. Just saying. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to get on up out of here because my time is drawing nigh. I want to talk about why the GOP is done. I'm not going to lie, I think the GOP is deader than disco. Why would I say that? Here's why. There were 2 polls taken. And these were straw polls that were taken at CPAC. Right? And everybody knows that's a place where all the conservatives come together and they talk about things they want to do, and it's the conservative political action conference, so they all come together and it's a meeting of the conservative minds and who's who in conservative politics is there and all that, right? So they took a couple of polls. The first poll they took, Trump got 70% of the vote. So 70% of the people there said we'd vote for Trump again. He is the leader of our party. And we're going to follow this guy into the pits of hell. He is our dude. We love him to death. We love his dirty draws. We're going to follow him. That's it. They're sold on Trump. So 70%. And then the other 21% that was left went to the governor of Florida, DeSantis. DeSantis is an idiot. If you've been watching the news, he's killing a bunch of people in Florida. Killing them. He doesn't want to listen to mask mandates. He's always been a Trump supporter. He's the guy who was running, who put his little baby in a Trump onesie. That dude who is going on and on about highs and was reading his son and daughter, his baby son and daughter, stories about how he's building a wall and all that. DeSantis, this guy's a buffoon and an idiot, but he's a conservative hack, and he's killing a lot of people in Florida because he's all up Trump's butt and wants to stay in his good graces. And he has. And he stayed in the Republican good graces, as you can see, too. 21%. He's the only person to come in second to Trump as far as people that these conservative folks said that they would vote for. That was the first poll. And really, they were the only 2 worth talking about in that poll. That first poll with Trump in it, Trump was number 1, 70%. DeSantis number 2 with 21%. Moving on, they did another poll, right? But they said with this poll, let's leave Trump out of it. Let's not even put Trump in this one and see where people's heads are at when Trump's not in the game, when he's not a horse in the race, right? So DeSantis, governor of Florida, he still got 68%, which is like, wow. So they're really liking DeSantis because he's just as stupid as Trump, and he obviously is interested in keeping culture wars going and the mask wars going and all this other dumb stuff that the conservative party is interested in now. They're not interested in any policies that help people, but all this other garbage and crap that gets them likes and views from other conservatives who are stupid. They're all about that. So DeSantis got 68% because of that. Mike Pompeo got 5%. Don Trump Jr. got 4%. Ted Cruz got 4%. What? Both of them guys should have got no percent, but whatever. And Kristi Noem got 3%. Now, this is a straw poll of about, 1,500 attendees of CPAC, right? So there's only 1,500 people at CPAC. But I think this is awfully telling of the Republican Party because, like I said, CPAC is the who's who of the Republican Party, right? So these are the people who are going to be voting in 2024, and this is who they like. Steal Trump. I was telling a Republican friend of mine, your party, they got nobody. Nobody. Now, Republicans, they got some talent over there, but they don't want to mess with them. For whatever reason, they are sold on Lord King Trump, and that's why I think this party is dead as disco, because he's a failing candidate. Trump's going down in flames. Trump's behavior has lowered the credit for America. Google it. Google it. I don't have time to talk about it. Google it. The man's businesses are failing. There are places that don't want to put his name on the side of buildings anymore. It's bad for business. They said his golf courses are losing business. Okay? Trump is a falling star. But you have a Republican Party that still worships the ground he walks on. That's a problem for them. That's a problem for them. Whenever your party is sold on a loser, how can you win? Something to think about. My time is drawing nigh. Whoa, my time is drawing nigh. Let's talk about my IPA of the week. This Two-Hearted Ale. Oh, good stuff from Bell's. Man, this is a delicious IPA. Let me find here. What is the alcohol content? 7.0% alcohol. Yeah, so if you got some money, get this Two-Hearted Ale. It is good stuff. Yeah. Once again, this is Urban Politics, where politics lives. You know what's good, you know what's hood. If you like what you're watching, please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. If you want to give a little pushback, you always in the pushback zone, you can hit me up at physedmusic@gmail.com. And that's what's up. And as always, see you around like a donut.